Hi everyone, I'm Michael.
And I'm Patrick, and you're watching another episode of Star Wars News and Views podcast.
That's going to be our new thing now. We're just going to have to... Yeah. Now you've established precedent.
It was a funny thing to do the first time. Now I got to keep doing it.
Now you got to do a podcast.
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about the Battlefront II fiasco, which I'm sure you've heard about, whether you were a Star Wars fan, a video game fan, or pretty much anybody, because it's been covered in BBC News. So
maybe people haven't. I don't know. Not everyone follows video game news.
Well, so the thing is, it was in BBC, the BBC doesn't have any video game department. This is just it became big news.
Yeah, it's been in Forbes, Washington Post.
Yeah.
The Belgian government has changed their national policy in response to it.
Yeah, it was the #1 most downvoted comment on Reddit in response to this. But if you don't know, what happened was Star Wars Battlefront 1 it came out last year, and not to great, or 2 years ago, I guess.
2 years.
Not to 2 years ago. Not to great reviews. People were kind of, upset there was no single player, and it got bad reviews, and people bashed it for fair reasons.
At best mixed.
Yeah, and a lot of it was because of the way EA handled stuff. The content of the game was decent, what was there, but then all this DLC came out, and you have to spend another $100 on DLC and stuff. It was crazy. So everyone's oh, EA's just trying to gouge money.
Yeah, and also the problem is that EA has a history of nickel and diming people like that. So it's just like the straw that broke the camel's back, and they kind of had to say okay, we're gonna change our ways for the sequel, basically.
Yeah, and then so that kind of got everyone hyped up again, and I was too, because they seemed sincere about the fact that they wanted to change what they were doing. So, anyways, as time went on, things were looking alright. They decided to add in a single player, which I heard looks terrible. But what they ended up doing though is using one of these new online game
loot crates
that have been catching on, that are very profitable, it seems like. But
which is basically you pay real world money, and it's basically like a slot machine.
And no matter what, you get a certain amount of in-game currency, but that number is randomized as well. But you get some amount of in-game currency. But
and by playing the game, you can also unlock things just by playing the game. But if you don't want to wait to unlock it, you can pay money to unlock things.
Yeah, exactly. So with this one, apparently someone did the number crunching when it came out. You needed to play, 40 hours or something, just to unlock Darth Vader.
Just to unlock Darth Vader or Luke as playable characters, and they're only playable for one round. You would have had to play roughly 40 hours of gameplay.
Yeah.
Which is, or you can just pay them more money, which is basically encouraging people to just straight up pay to unlock it.
Right.
Because 40 hours is a long time
to play it. But it's also, the problem is it's an online game. You unlock these characters to play online, and objectively playing as a hero like Darth Vader is probably way better than some of the other heroes that are in the game as it is. And it's kind of essentially, it's the same thing, sorry to go on this topic a bit more. Some of the items you get, you get grenade upgrades from these loot crates, or if you pay enough money for them, you get a grenade upgrade that literally just makes them do more damage and hit a bigger radius. It just makes them better. So essentially, they're making this pay-to-win sort of situation where if you pay enough money, you will do better at the game than everybody else that's playing online, which is totally unfair to people who just want to pick up the game and play, because they're not going to be anywhere near as have as good items as you.
And someone did a calculation here. If you wanted to unlock all of the unlockable things without paying to win, without paying for these loot crates, and just unlock them by playing the game, you would need to require you to have sunk 4,528 hours of gameplay into it. So how many hours are in a year? 4,528 hours is a lot.
Yeah, that's crazy.
If you were to, so that's a ridiculous, I'm going to have to be playing this game for 5 years to unlock everything. What if I just pay you all the money to unlock everything? It would require at least $2,100 to unlock everything. On top of the $80 for the game, plus there's a season's pass to play the game because it's online. That is absurd. I know people will not do that, but just the fact that they thought that they could get away with that. I've heard of companies nickel and diming people, but 4,500 hours to unlock everything without paying, or $2,000 plus to unlock everything. On top, plus you've paid money for the game, the $80 to get the disc.
And so I know Star Wars Battlefront isn't necessarily a competitive game, and that's what people are playing for, but it would suck to just be losing because people have spent more money on this game than you and have better weapons, right?
Yeah, and it encourages a culture where people oh, this guy's buying stuff, so in order to compete now, I have to buy stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, the thing is, like, with other games, like Overwatch, that have loot crates, like, you pay a certain amount of money, and you get the full game, and that's all you need, and you can play it. Loot crates just unlock skins, which are things that people want for fun, and that's, like, pretty much it. So, like, you know, you can spend money on loot crates, and you just, like, change the look of your character, or get some new decals and stuff, and that's cool, but, like, you don't have to do that to play the game still, but you have to, after spending, what, $100 on this game as it is anyways, you gotta buy more stuff in order to be able to compete with people. It's so crazy and ridiculous.
And the other thing is, like, it's basically a form of gambling. I saw an article on the, I think it was Washington Post, or like on one of those major newspapers, and it was about some, like, 14-year-old kid that had spent, like, $4,000 on unlockables for, I don't want to say what the game was now because I can't remember, but it was one, you know, typical, like, Overwatch or League of Legends or, you know, whatever those typical games that people do that, or CSGO, whatever. But people get addicted to it. It is an actual addiction. It is a form of gambling. And that's why now, in response to this, the Belgian government has now outlawed loot crate things because it's not regulated by, or the gambling commission for the states or whatever it is that overlooks this and regulates it. There's no oversight. Do you even know what the odds, if the odds of getting the weapon that you want, what are the odds?
So they don't have to tell you here, but in Japan they make it like legal that they have to tell you the percentage chance of getting things in the game. Otherwise, they, it's illegal to do that. So that's why some of the like Japanese gacha games have like a number percentage beside it. But the America doesn't have that, so they can just not even tell you what your chances of getting this stuff are, and you're spending money on it. So essentially, it's like worse than gambling because at least in gambling, you know your odds of like getting a 1 on a roulette table.
It's a game of chance. It's exactly gambling. Gambling is defined as a game of chance, and that's why at one point they made pachinko machines and pinball machines illegal in the States in the 50s and 60s and 70s. Pinball games were illegal up until the 80s. And the original way they got around it, in I think it was like the 30s or 40s, was why they put the bumpers, you know, the flippers where you could hit the ball. Because originally pinball games didn't have the flippers. You pulled the thing and it shot the ball that would bounce around, and maybe you'd win, maybe you'd lose. But they put in the flippers to say, no, it's not a game of chance, it's a game of skill. And that's how they got around the gambling loophole. That's why in Canada, I don't know if other countries are like this, I don't think the States is, but for those things where you have to fill out your thing to compete in a contest where you could win something, there's a skill testing question, is the way they phrase it, which is a ridiculously simplistic math problem, which is like, what's 9 times 10 plus 5 minus 3? And that way they can technically say it's not gambling, kids can play it, it's a game, it requires skill.
Yeah, and they get around it. I think I've even done that for other things, and they're like, the answer's just like 7, just write down 7, I don't care. Like, it's...
Okay, so I guess we should say that they've scaled that back, what they originally had. People complained, and at first they tried to defend it, and it was like the most, EA's comment defending it was like the most downvoted comment in Reddit history. Is just, especially EA is notorious for being sort of like the worst company in the world, in the gaming world.
Yeah,
and somehow like they have all these licenses for all these big products. I don't understand how they keep getting it.
And they do so like, okay. So bottom line is like the developers who made the game, they like, I'm sure they wanted to make a good game. A lot of this comes down to, I think, a lot of the executives in these places.
It's the higher up, yes. It's the business people. It's not the developers themselves. I feel bad for them.
Yeah, I do too. But but at the end of the day, still, like, that's like the product that's being shipped, and that's like the thing that everyone's complaining about, and that's not what we want, and we don't like how the way that the idea of video game as a product are going towards this and throwing gambling in. And also, like, something similar happened to GTA 5, where they planned a story DLC and they decided against it because the online was just making so much money using this sort of like randomized like gambling model. Like, who would have thought gambling makes them money? Like, what I mean? I don't know. Wow, surprise, surprise. But now they're all doing it because they want to make money.
Since the dawn of time,
Yeah. Anyways, so this is the latest of offenses in video games, which is, it's good that people are getting outraged and trying to make things change. I like that. It sucks that it happens to be on a franchise that I want to play, like a Star Wars
one. Like, I wish I could take part in it, but I don't think so.
Yeah, like, I wish this was about an Assassin's Creed game that I don't really care that much about anymore, and it was like we could demonize that and we still get a good Star Wars game.
Yeah.
Like, nope.
Well, here's the silver lining, because they might have screwed up really, really, like, too badly this time, because an hour before they announced that they were pulling this pay-to-win scheme, the president of Disney Consumer Division or something like that, some higher up CEO of Disney, got on the phone with the president of EA, and I don't know what was exchanged, harsh words though, and an hour later, literally 60 minutes later, EA put the announcement that they're getting rid of pay to win.
Yeah.
So, like, heads might kind of roll over this now, and it might be like if EA screws up again, maybe Disney will be like, once our contract expires, you're not getting the license again.
Yeah. I think part of the thing is, like, when they decide to give it to EA, you know, like, Disney's just a company, and they're like, okay, well, we can put as much money as we want into developing this game because we know it'll sell. So which company makes the most money right now?
So, like, I understand, like, from a naive, you know, capitalism point of view, why Disney did it. But that, you know, your brand is worth more than just dollars. There's like an intangible, your reputation, basically. I really do hope they lose the license or change their ways, and I'm not confident that they'll change their ways. I think
I don't think so. Yeah, that seems to be almost the least likely.
They've been like this for EA's been like this for a long time. I don't think it's going to change.
Yeah.
They got screwed now because now the government is thinking about like intervening on these loot boxes. It's gambling for children. It's even gambling for adults. It's not regulated. It's just like a bad seed, right?
Yeah.
So they won't be able to do that the way they have been, but only because they got caught, right? So it'll be the next thing next time. So
yeah.
Anyway, so I guess that's everything there is to say about that topic. The dust is kind of settled now. I don't know.
Yeah, my coworker ended up getting it because his brother just bought it, like, because his brother doesn't know too much or read too much about this stuff, and it's a game they can play online. He's like, yeah, my brother just bought it, and like I was telling him about this stuff, but he's like, oh, I already bought it anyway, so I bought it to play with him, and he's still like, he says it's still fun to play. Like, I don't know. I assume if I had the game and I didn't really care about spending the crazy amounts of money on it, I'd be having fun play it, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't want to support the bad business model. Really, is like one of the big things I think, like personally.
Yeah, you know? As someone that cares about gaming, like it's hard for me to support this type of business model and this type of treatment, not only to the developers but to the fans as well, and the damage it does on the industry by normalizing this type of thing. Because other people would be like, "Well, EA does it, we can do it too."
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah. I would like to be able to enjoy it. I'm sure it's a good game on its own, but. I guess I'm not going to be playing this one. So anyway, leave us your thoughts on it. I'm sure there's lots of people that have different views.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next episode.